Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of Friday Night In with the Lancashire team, proudly supported by Heineken, official beer of Lancashire Cricket, and of course, Emirates Old Trafford. This week, something a little bit different. Not done this one before. A couple of weeks ago, we had the young boys, didn't we? Now we've got two old-timers, two Lancashire old-timers. We've got Stephen Parry, Lancashire and England, and head of our health and fitness and medical, whatever you want to call it, Lancashire ex-England physio, Dave Roberts. Guys, welcome. Great to have you on Friday Night In. How have you been doing? Rooster, we'll start with you.
Yeah, good, actually. It's not been as quiet as I thought it was going to be honest. We've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes with the ECB. There's a call every Tuesday morning. There's a call every Thursday morning. They seem to stretch on for at least 2 or 3 hours, these calls. And then there's all the stuff after that. And then you end up, obviously, talking to Paul Allott and the executive and the board and the coaches and trying to make everybody behave themselves in terms of social distancing and all that stuff. And just recently, we've been able to move it forward, and now we've got some of the England bowlers coming into Old Trafford. We've got Jimmy Anderson, Saqib Mahmood, Matt Parkinson coming into Old Trafford now to do individual training, supported by Sam Byrne, my first team physiotherapist, and Glenn Chappell. So we've moved things on a little bit, and right now I'm more optimistic than ever about us getting some cricket played. So yeah. Good.
Fantastic. Well, that's a real positive start, Rooster. And Pazza, you look like you're in the car there, mate. You've been thrown out the house. Has your missus got rid of you for an hour?
Well, this is the only time I get any peace and quiet because my house is like a zoo. So I'm actually thinking of starting a new business of asking people to come and look at the chimpanzees, the 3 kids I've got, run jumping around the house. It's absolute madness, 7 and under, all 3 of them. But no, obviously it has its challenges, but it's actually really great to spend time as well, even though it's stressful, So.
Well, that's you know what, mate. That's been a common theme. It's nice to spend time with your family, and you're used to being away, obviously, in the winter. Tell us a little bit about how you spend your winters, because it is quite interesting.
Yeah, over the last, obviously. And it's a massive thanks to Lancashire as well, because how they've committed to me to go away in the winters, and with that happening, it's let me develop what I've been working on over the last 10-year plan sort of thing for out of cricket when that eventually comes. So I think I started off in Perth, where I kind of ran an indoor school, and at Middle and Guildford, and they were fantastic, and I learned a lot there and got that up and going with cricket clinics, not just in that area of Perth, going out into the country and providing a service and travelling, and did all that in a couple of years by working in a sports shop whilst I was playing. And in the meantime, then I got picked for England, so that had to stop. So, which is a good enough reason for that to stop. But I love doing that. And obviously, I was in and out of the England setup for 3 or 4 years, and then the last 4 years since I came out of that, I've gone over to Melbourne with friends I've got and set up a winter academy with English lads going over and training them and stuff like that. And my family's, I am away from my family a lot, but we've had some special times with it as well when they've come out and stuff. And it's been really good, and I've learnt a lot. So I've learnt a lot.
Sounds mega, mate. My heart's breaking for you. A winter in Australia in the sunshine, it must be so difficult. Rooster, you're an organised man. You're used to running a tight ship with your medical boys. You're in the house. You're in lockdown. Any new skills? Any new hobbies that you want to share with us?
Have I got any new hobbies? Well, all I can say is that I've got two sheds at our house, and they're both like operating theatres now. I've got a pair of scissors that I use to cut the grass, the edges, because they're so neat. The drive's perfectly clean, and everything's tickety-boo in our house. There's no problems. It's as clean as it's ever been. It's like a hospital in here.
It always is, and we've had some good fun at your gaff over there in Pleasanton, in Blackburn, kind of way. You got a lovely spot there, backing onto the golf course. You are a keen golfer. you must have must have been hard for you not to be able to just nip over that back fence onto your special green.
Oh yeah, I'd have been shot if I'd have done that. No, because the course was closed, we were able to nip over and just walk around the course, and it was unreal, really, to be honest, because there was so much land unoccupied, looking so beautiful because of the weather. Yeah. It was like, why can we not play? Because I mean, I socially distance anyway because I usually hit it that way. My partner usually hits it that way, so we're never together anyway. But no, it's a nice spot, and we're very lucky. But obviously, not everybody has been so lucky, Warren. And of course, the worst thing that happened to us was David Hotchkiss, of course, and very sadly, he was an early victim of coronavirus, and it's hit a lot of people hard. So, whilst we've all been trying to make the most of it, we do need to think about those people who have not been as lucky as ourselves.
You know what, mate? You're absolutely bang on there, and Pazza still being a player in these times, and being under the guise of Rooster here, setting fitness plans and schedules. How's your fitness going? Have you received it from Sam and Webby?
Yeah. Stay in contact, obviously. You know, that's always been a bit of a struggle for me through my career. But,
what are you smiling for?
Because I'm not innocent here, you know. I've always been a battle, me and fitness throughout my career. You know, I go in and out of doing it well, not doing it well. I'm openly saying that, you know, because I don't lie. So it is the truth. It is challenging, but it's also enjoyable, and it does make you feel better. And it's important that for mentally that you are doing stuff, because you know your well-being's important, most important, and I think that's what comes down, and that's what I learned over the time. And it took a while for the penny to drop for me, but you know, the support you get to get where you need to be a professional sportsman is incredible at Lancashire. So, cheers, Rooster.
I have to say, Warren, that I know everything there is to know about the inside and outside of his body. It's not always pleasant reading. We have Tom Webster sends us through his monthly skin folds, and you know, we have a green, amber, and a red. And Pazza always seems to be in amber red. I've never seen Pazza ever in green, ever. So yeah,
he's like a Shire horse. He's like a Shire horse. Shire horses are made for work, and they've got to carry a bit of bull. That was my excuse, Rooster. I remember coming to see you once when I was still about, and I had a bad back. I had a really, really bad back, and you being you're straight to the point. You're no messing about. You tell the truth. He said, Chucky, people with bad backs usually have bad fronts, and it's So, Pazza, you must fit into that. But Pazza, we talk about food, and have you been doing any cooking yourself? Is cooking, cooking good?
That's my problem. I love cooking. But no, there's plenty of stories there, Roosty. We'll keep them quiet. But no, I've been doing a lot. I actually really like cooking. You know, I like cooking. I like my wines. I'm into all that. Obviously, we've gone to Australia. I've been to a lot of the wineries, and no, I really do like cooking. I find it quite therapeutic, and it's just really hard cooking for the children because I spend all this time on this nice meal, and they just go, "I want chicken nuggets," and you go, "Okay," you know. So it's just like, and it's like you go on the planning, and I think I like the planning of it, and reading up on it and trying different things. So I think it is great, but the kids soon bring you back down to earth and go, "That's rubbish, Dad."
Yeah, well, it's all right. You're not the Lone Ranger there, mate, because my little one is exactly the same. Okay, let's touch a little bit on cricket, and we'll start with you, Rooster. You know, you've been with the Red Rose County now for a long time. How did it all come about, and how did you first get onto the Red Rose team?
Well, I mean, I was a cricketer as a youngster. I mean, I started off my cricket at Newton Heath Cricket Club in Manchester, and I wanted to try and improve myself. I moved to the Central Lancashire League and went to play at Middleton. And when I was playing at Middleton, there was a game, it must have been 1986 or 87, long time ago, between the League Cricket Conference and the Zimbabwe cricket team who were touring. Zimbabwe didn't have test status at the time, and I just qualified as a physio, and I offered my services just like the tea ladies offered all their services, and like the ground staff offered their services to put the game on. It was a 2-day game. A couple of players got injured in that game, and one of them was an 18-year-old Graham Hick, who was playing for Zimbabwe at the time.
Right.
Anyway, the following year, the Zimbabwe team toured the UK again in what was called the ICC Trophy, which is a qualification tournament to get a place in the World Cup, which was in India and Pakistan the following year. And they asked me after that game at Middleton, where I looked after, they asked me if I could join them for the 7 weeks of the tour around the UK. Well, I was working at Rochdale Infirmary at the time, and Dennis Wright, the superintendent, the boss physio there, said, well, if you want to go, then you can go. I'll give you 7 weeks unpaid leave. And I went off from Rochdale Infirmary, went around the country with Zimbabwe. They won the tournament. You know, before you could say Jack Robinson, I was in Zimbabwe. I'd only been qualified a year. I was in Zimbabwe, getting on a plane to go to India, Pakistan and Sri Lanka for the 1987 World Cup finals. So I was being introduced to, like, I don't know, it might have been Rajiv Gandhi or somebody, and I'm thinking, what am I doing here? How's that happen? Anyway, so when I finished, then I went back to Zimbabwe again, 3 more winters, and then I got a phone call from, I think it was about 87. I got a phone call from Laurie Brown, the old physio at Lancashire, to say he was with England. Could I go to Jamaica with the Lancashire team on a pre-season tour? That was about 87, I think, 88. So I covered Laurie on that tour, and it was like a 2.5-week tour. David Hughes was on it, Jack Simmons was on it, I think you were on it, Mike, everybody was on it. Paul Allott was on it. And anyway, I'd never had lobster before, but I had plenty of it when I went there because somebody else was paying for it. So anyway, when I finished with Zimbabwe, I then got a call from Worcestershire County Cricket Club. Worcestershire had signed Graham Hick. They were looking for a new physio because Ian Botham had just signed with Graham Dilley from Somerset. They'd left Somerset to go to Worcester. And the physio that was with Worcester, I'm not sure whether he could cope with it or not, but anyway, he left. And so Graham Hick said, well, we had a bloke from Manchester who was, you know, looking after us. So I went for an interview with Duncan Fernley and Phil Neal and all that crowd, and Ian Botham surgeon. He just had back surgery. And then they took me to the Shakespeare pub in the town and got me drunk. And anyway, the next day I got offered the job. So then I spent 5 years at Worcestershire. And from Worcestershire, I then went on with England. Yeah. After that, of course, once I'd finished with England, I then got a phone call from Mike Watkinson. That was 2001 to say, could I come and look after Lancashire? And so I ended up back at Lancashire, and and I've been there ever since.
Part of the furniture now, mate. Part of that furniture, and we'll touch on that Jamaican trip in a minute because there's something I want to ask you about that. And Pazza, you're a Manchester lad. You play for Lancashire. You're Red Rose through and through. You are a Manchester boy. If I'm not mistaken, born around the Denton area, which doesn't get any more Manchester than that. What about starting your career?
Sorry, I didn't get that last bit. The last bit, it just nipped off. Start my career, did you say?
Yeah, and I said you're a horrible Manchester City fan as well.
Yeah. Well, go on the Blues. We're kicking off on the 17th, aren't we? So, no. I remember going the game with you, sat in the City end, and that great game. You won 3-2, but once you beat us, I was going to just sell you away, but I didn't do that.
I remember that. So when you started pal?
I started at Denton Cricket Club, originally from like the Openshaw, Beswick area. A lot of my family is in Gorton, but then we came up the old road, you call it, and try and go to a different area. And then a friend across the road called Chris Pilkinson, he started playing cricket on the street with him about 6 or 7. And then we got down to the local cricket club together, and that's how it started. But, you know, and then I used to play, I just fell in love with it. But my dad always liked cricket, but he never played for years because of work and stuff. And then I think that was it. And my great granddad used to play. He loved cricket, you know. But it runs in the family, but obviously in different ways and forms. But I started at Denton, and then from Denton I moved to Redcliffe when I was about 15 to try and, because that's when I realised I wanted to try and do something. So I kept wanting to go on the move and improving, and ended up in Liverpool comp. And then I've done a few proing jobs, but it's a great journey, and the amount of friends you make. And I look back at it now, and I just can't believe how fast it's gone. I know everyone says that, and when you're living it, doing it, and you're starting your career, you're just doing it, and then you kind of in this bubble, aren't you? And the time's flying, and it's nice now. I've had time at home, and I've managed to, the testimonial brought it home to me in regards to when I got, getting your cap, playing for England, getting your cap, doing all them things is amazing, but you always want to do better. And that this time here has allowed me to look back at my career and go, you know what, when I played in the Big Bash and stuff like that, I've really achieved a lot. I should be proud of myself, because I think personally, you don't give yourself enough credit for what you've done, because you're always trying to win that extra trophy for the club, or you're trying to help your teammate, or you're always looking at your next success, or, trying to win that game for the team, So when you get a chance to look back on what you've done and what you've achieved, it's pretty moving, really, and it's never going to go anywhere. So I think it's, I can be proud of that, and, from where I'm from, and it just shows you that anyone can live the dream, doesn't it? What they want to do. So,
mate, it certainly does. And I wonder if it'd be good to the statisticians out there. The first person from Gorton to play cricket for England. That would be a great question.
I can't imagine there's a big queue of him, I'm going to be honest. But no, but I'm proud of where I'm from. And I always say it. There's not many real Mancs in the changing room. There's some from some nicer areas.
Hang on. Newton Heath's not far away from Denton, pal.
Oh, I know. My auntie said I used to sell flowers of her in my teens to make some money near Newton Heath Cricket Club. So she had a flower business. So
Denton's like Alderley Edge compared to Newton Heath, mate. Honestly.
I know. If I'm playing at Alderley Edge now, and I've had an amazing time, but sometimes I feel, this is a bit different. So, I've always stayed quite local and lived close, not far from Denton, where Ardenshire and that sort of area where I grew up a bit more as we moved. But, I love it round here. I love going to my local pub. It's real. I like that part of my life. I don't try and pretend I'm something I'm not, and I really enjoy that part of it and keeping it real. So.
Fantastic, and that's the way you've always played your cricket, and that's the way to go, Pazza. But Rooster, we'll go back to Jamaica. I said we'd touch on Jamaica, and you mentioned I was on that tour. It was one of my early tours. I remember in those days it was a little less stressful pre-season than it is these days. Skin folds and weight tests were nothing to there, and a pre-season tour to Jamaica was the best thing for an 18, 19-year-old kid. I remember that's where you got your nickname Rooster from, if I can remember, because we were on the beach, and we I think you got us up for 8 o'clock, an 8 o'clock beach running session, which was never heard of in those days. We've been on the rum and coke till 3 o'clock in some nightclub. You making me crazy or something like that, and we got the call on the door. We're running on the beach at 8 o'clock. And with this new physio that had joined us, and he was barking orders and like a sergeant major. And I remember in them days you had this big backside and legs that wide. The legs were that wide. I think it was Winker said, "You look like that Rooster off the cartoons, my boy, Rooster." So Rooster stuck. Is that right, Rooster? That's where he came from.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And in fact, to this day, I mean, some people don't know what I'm really called. Some people. I did an event I covered a golf event a couple of years ago, and it was at St Andrews, and I was checking in at the St Andrews Old Course Hotel. So I was working there, I wasn't playing, and my name's Dave Roberts. I've definitely checked it. No, we've not got a Dave Roberts here. Sorry, mate. I'm thinking, oh my God, I've travelled all this way. They've not even checked me in. And Michael Vaughan and Shane Warne were playing in the same tournament. They were walking past reception, and they both said, "Hey, Rooster, how are you going?" And the girl looked down and looked up and said, "We've got a Mr. Rooster." So yeah, it stuck. And to be quite honest with you, I don't mind. It's fine.
It's great.
My wife My wife's even got me in her phone book as Rooster. So, I'm afraid it's stuck. It's there to stay.
Brilliant. Just move on to that England career, Dave, because you did go on to England, and you looked after some seriously high profile names on those England tours, and I think changed the culture, changed the feeling of the fitness side of the game.
Well, yeah, of course. When I took over, when I took the main job, it wasn't a full-time job. I was still physioing for Worcestershire in the summer, and then nipping off to cover test match, trying to get cover for myself at Worcester. It was a right pickle. There were no central contracts, and it was a struggle to try and keep tabs on everybody. So some of the recommendations I was able to make, because I spent time with these people on tour, they did then start to come into force in terms of like having a doctor on tour, having more than just a physio, having a strength and conditioning coach. So, when I was myself, I have to say I learned more. I became a better physiotherapist. I became an odd job man. I was the doctor, I was the physio, I was the nurse, I was the one that they cried on, I was a psychiatrist. You become a drinking partner when they've not been selected, and oh God. So you become a bit of a jack of all trades. But now, of course, that's led into a more professional environment where they have a strength and conditioning coach, they have a psychiatrist, they have a massage therapist, they have a load of backroom staff. Not so sure that it's gone too far, but that's just first. Those days I was involved. I looked after a lot of Lancashire players actually. Phil De Freitas was on one of my tours, but I did look after a few people like Phil Tufnell, Chris Lewis, Dermot Reeve. People that did drive me around the bend now and again. But equally, Nasser Hussain, Graham Thorpe, Mike Atherton, Mark Ramprakash, Dominic Cork. He was another belter. Yeah, so yeah,
Did you say belter?
I said belter, yeah. Before the 9 o'clock watershed. So yes, so I was extremely lucky, and of course, all the time I had this involvement with Ian Botham at Worcestershire, and because he had so many injuries, and because he was coming to the latter stages of his career, we became great friends. We ended up living together. So we lived together for 3 years in a farmhouse in Worcestershire, and I just went home every night. Because I was an import, Beefy was an import, so the club got him a house. It was a massive house, so he said, "Right, come and live with me, Rooster." So, I'd go on one night, and Eric Clapton and Elton John would be there. I remember George Harrison being there one night. He had all kinds of weirdo visitors coming along, but we had some great times.
I bet you had some great times, and we'll touch on that in a second. Maybe after the watershed. Hazard, you just mentioned in our last bit of a subject where you were from, but you got to remember that you as a lad from East Manchester ended up playing in a Cricket World Cup for England. And there's not many people can say that they can look back on their career and say, I played in a Cricket World Cup. What was that like, representing your country against the world's finest cricketers?
Well, it was surreal, really. It's like I was a bit taken back from it all. It all happened so quickly as well. It's always you want to, and when you get selected, it's when you was least expecting it. When you've talked about it, I'm going to play for England. Then you crack on, then it's actually at you. You're like, wow. But you got a massive thank you to Lancashire, because my development with them, the time they've put into me, the investment, if it wasn't for the club being how they were, I would never be able to create that opportunity, and they made the most of what I have, with the most of what I've got, and having people working with Mike Watkinson, Gary Yates, Chappie, obviously, Chile, Peter Moores. We've had some of the best coaches in the world working with you, so there's a reason why I managed to live that dream, and hats off to all them and putting the time and effort in, and obviously the medical staff, Rooster and Sam and Webby, helping me learn about the other side, which becomes way more important as you get older. You've got to look after yourself better. But no, it's unbelievable. When you think about the hard work you got to for that moment, it was definitely worth it, and I would do it over and over again. I'd play Like, I'd play for Lancashire for free. I'd play for England for free. You know, that's the way I love doing it. You know, and it's a dream, and that's what I think. That's how it's got to stay throughout your career. Yeah, it's fantastic, and we do get paid for something we love. But at the end of the day, I'd still do it for nothing. So.
Well, I won't be saying that too loudly, Pazza, but
no, but you would though. You would. That's how you started off, isn't it? Like, you know, maybe expenses then.
All right, okay. Well, we'll leave it. We'll move swiftly on from that one.
Bit of petrol and food money.
Rooster, I've got to touch on the subject that everyone's speaking about now. Obviously, there's no professional cricket, there's no recreational cricket. But there has been word spoken in the press and in the media that hopefully there'll be some test matches played in and around the country. Whether Emirates Old Trafford gets a gig with that, it's a massive operation to keep a venue bio-safe. That is the word that they're using, and I'm sure your expertise on that will be sought.
Yeah, we've been in fairly regular contact with the ECB. I spoke to Nick Pearce, the Chief Medical Officer at the ECB, yesterday about it. Obviously, Old Trafford is an ideal environment, not because we love it and we're biased, but because we have our own hotel there. We have a big area. We have a lot of space that we can use and zone off. So we do have some natural advantages in the fact that we have the stadium we've got now. But despite that, there's still lots of risk assessments that have to be undertaken by the operations team, lots of risk assessments by us from the medical team, and lots of other departments of the club coming together, which I've found quite interesting actually, working together to try and pull everything together, kind of fit the jigsaw pieces together, so that we are able to prove to the ECB and to the government, who ultimately will sign this off if it happens, that we are able to put on a bio-safe or bio-secure game of cricket. So at the moment, we started with this individual training. Hopefully, pretty soon it will move into small group training, and all the time we're doing it, we'll be learning from it. For example, you know, we have Jimmy there at the moment, Jimmy Anderson, Matt Parkinson and Saqib Mahmood. They're training this morning actually. We've moved the gym outside, so we've got an outdoor gym.
Wow.
And next week we're going to be receiving some more players. So the batters will come along, so Keaton Jennings will come along. I don't know whether Josh Butler's coming to Old Trafford or whether he's going to go to the Oval. So we'll have more players involved, and the more we do it, the better we'll get at it, and the more conscientious we'll be in terms of being naturally conscientious about social distancing and about the kind of things we should be doing. All of the things that you've heard in the media and the things that you should be doing anyway, in terms of washing your hands, hygiene, keeping your distance, all that stuff, it still stands in what we're doing. But because we're playing the game we play, it does lend itself to being able to socially distance. And for training at the moment, it's working very well. So I'm very happy with the way it's going at the minute.
It'd be interesting, Pazza, as from a cricketer's point of view. Rooster's mentioned there that the social distancing aspect of the game. How do you envisage that moving forward? Should cricket be played in 2020?
Good question, but you know, I think everyone's going to be supportive of whatever happens to get it underway. It has to get underway for the game to survive, and obviously, it's amazing the extremes people are going to and the hard work Roosters putting in and everybody over the last few months to make this happen. And at the end of the day, you know, big thank you for that. And it's also about the fans and the community getting what they want, isn't it, as well? So it's
that's important.
It's really important, yeah, because you know, every week I'm speaking to a couple of the members, keeping in touch with them, making sure they're okay, and they're more desperate than us for the cricket. They'll absolutely love it, you know, and it's so important, you know, to fulfil everybody and what they want, and it's really tricky to manage. But obviously, if we can get it underway, I think the players will be really, really professional in making that happen. And at the end of the day, I think, and I don't know where I've answered your question there. It's quite a tough one, but I think the players will definitely do what they can and make the sacrifices to get some cricket in for people.
Absolutely, and I think we'll all police it ourselves when cricket does come back online. The social distancing clubs at a recreational level are so desperate to get back on the park, but the theory of keeping safe is just as important. And I think once it does come online, I think clubs are not naive enough to ignore the rules. So we've got everything crossed that cricket is played in 2020 as long as it's safe. But lads, we've spoke for 40 minutes. It's been unbelievable catching up with you. And I could have spoke to Rooster for another hour. I could have spoke to you for another hour of things we've not touched. But really appreciate your time coming on to the Friday Night Live, being part of this, the Lanky team, an integral part of the Lanky team. Pazza on the green stuff playing, a Rooster looking after what's best in market of the medical teams around the county traps, which we're very, very proud of at the Red Rose and Lancashire Cricket. So I'd like to thank you personally for coming on, sharing your feelings, taking some memories on, having a bit of a laugh, and I really look forward to having a brew or something a little bit stronger, Pazza, with you maybe soon, and keep yourself safe.
I hope everyone who watches this is well and families are. And Rooster, it's always a pleasure. You've been quite nice to me today, so I'm going to get off before you're not. So, Heggy,
I remember you ruining my Christmas Day once, Pazza, and I think, and then you followed it up with a New Year's Day, didn't you? Somehow I ended up at our house wanting some treatment on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I was in India, wasn't I? And my ankle went, and you would get to mine. I was like, "It's Christmas Day, Rooster." You went, "I don't care," Oh, so then that was interesting. You were I was his biggest fan for a while, I don't think.
I'll tell you what, no. Warren, one thing that I should mention before we finish is that Mark Chilton and Sam Byrne, Tom Webster, Chappie, all of those guys, and Keaton Jennings especially, and Jonesy, have been putting on fitness classes for the age group and the academy players on a regular basis every week during the lockdown. So they should be applauded for keeping the contact with all of those age group players, boys and girls, and the academy team as well. So, we have been doing quite a lot behind the scenes. And of course, like the members, we're as keen to get started just as much as they are. So thank you for supporting the Red Rose. And Warren, thank you for what you're doing.
Brilliant.
No, that's great.
That's a great message. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to catching up soon. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Cheers, Eggy. See you, mate.
Bye.